with sole attachment. We've got a couple of new ideas for you here. First of all, we have our underclamp system that goes with our railless mount. These railless mounts are going to install the 7/16 OSB with these simple deck screws. You'll just use 4 of these in most zones across the country. If you're in a coastal zone, you'll use 6 of these screws. And we have certification for these up to 150 miles an hour. So for the coastal zones, you're fine even into 7/16 OSB. Now what we have here also, or I want to show you and we'll demonstrate on our roof here in just a minute, is a couple different flashings. This first flashing is just simply a flashing sheet that's going to go under the shingle. You slip it under there, put this mounting foot where you need it to go and screw through it. These screws have of course have the neoprene washer on the bottom of this metal washer, and that is integrated into that, so there should be no leaks. But we also, some guys are wanting to cover those screw heads, and so we have another flashing that we'll demonstrate as well that goes over the mount and covers those screw heads, and then it has this rubber boot, and we'll show you how that works as well. Before we get to that though, I want to show you what we do also with each one of these is we use butyl tape on the bottom of these to get a nice seal. You're going to lay out your board, use just a 1x4, lay out your butyl. And one of the reasons I want to show you this is because these are not actually square. This is actually shorter this direction than this direction. Here we have 3 3/8 and this is 3 inch. So you're going to want to lay this out shortwise. Press that down into the butyl real well and then simply score that across there. The reason we don't do that whenever we ship them is because in the heat of the summer, that butyl will run and get sticky and get on the other parts. So we ship you a roll of this, whatever's necessary for you to do your mounting feet with. So you'll want to do that with all of your mounting feet. Next, I want to show you how this new underclamp goes together. This is going to be the underclamp for the outside of the outside frame of the perimeter module. This is going to go on, and I'll show you that in a minute and show you how that grabs. But you're going to get, for the perimeter modules, you'll have one of these underclamps per mount, and then you're going to, for those that share, or you're used to the idea of the mid clamps, you're going to have 2 of these on per mount. Those simply slip in place. We'll send this to you all assembled, but that simply slips in. It's got a cap nut on the bottom of it. Just simply slides in the top of that rail portion of our mount. Slides against that. Tighten it down. And we'll also provide you with the proper Allen tip bit to go with that. So that you'll assemble those all for your mid clamps. And then we'll talk about these bolts on the bottom as well as we're going once we get on the roof. I'm over here. Yeah. So I want to show you now how this underclamp actually grabs onto the module. And what you need to understand as well, this eliminates the need for end clamps and mid clamps. As you know, sometimes as you switch from different modules, different manufacturers, the thickness of your frame will vary and you have to get different size end clamps. Not with our underclamp system. One size fits all. What I want you to see here is these sharp point set screws. These set screws actually really grab the module so that you don't even actually need to tighten the module to the mounts. And let me just demonstrate that for you here. It just simply slides on there, and we'll show you on the roof in a moment. But whenever these are attached on both ends, the force of the module itself won't allow those modules to slip or go anywhere. Yet it just simply slides off. Now you see that we have these 2 1/4-20 hex bolts here. The purpose of these is just one for added security, so that we know that those aren't going to fly off the roof. You're simply going to reach under. Of course, we'll demonstrate that on the roof and tighten those. But also the purpose of those is that these are being tested now for UL 2703 for grounding, so that you won't have to ground module to module. You'll just simply ground one corner of the array. And again, that's in the process of being tested, and we believe that that certification will be available in just a couple of months. But that allows you to tighten that, break the bond on this, and allows for that grounding. So we'll demonstrate that as well from the roof. Okay, I know what you're thinking. We're here in a controlled environment with a rooftop that's actually on the ground. I used to laugh at guys that would demonstrate their product that way as well. But what I found out over the last couple of weeks trying to do this actually on the rooftop is you can't control the weather, you can't control the wind. So those were both a couple of issues, so we brought this indoors. We'll also have some pictures of these things being done on the roof. But what I want to show you here is we've done our layout for this roof, fairly simple. We've put our first two mounts for the perimeter modules, these end mounts, and now we're going to demonstrate how these go on a roof. I've also, of course, used these flat flashings. Again, I'll show you how we use the other flashings once we get this one on. Okay, so here we have our first module going on. What I want to make sure you do is you're going to tilt this edge down towards the roof to engage this. Right, how do you see that? So we're going to slide that over. Then we're going to lift this up. Put these mounts on. So now you see how that just sets in place. We've got a fairly steep roof. We're going to then go and we're going to put our flashings under that. Simply put those under that top shingle. Slide that in place. Put that. And one thing we're not doing on these next 9 feet, because we want to reuse this roof, we're not putting any butyl on the bottom of these. That's by design, just simply because we want to reuse the roof. Ready? Now that we've got our first one on here, we haven't tightened anything to the module itself. Yet I can stand against it, and it's not going anywhere because those sharp point set screws are biting into that frame. Quite often when you're using a rail system, as you know, you'll set a module on there, you have to hold it until you get your end clamps on or your mid clamps. Not with this system, it actually grabs the first time. Okay, now we're going to put our second module on. Again, we simply set it down there, line it up at the top, slide it over, lift that up. So the next one's in place. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to screw these in directly to the roof and then show you how to use this other flashing system that goes over the mount. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to use this. I've peeled the paper off the top here. I'm going to leave the paper on the bottom because I don't want it to stick into this roof. We're going to reuse this. But you'll get an idea. So now once you have this attached, you're going to have to take this piece off to get it out of the way. Simply loosen this, take this bolt out. Take this, put it in the pouch. Now you're going to want to, in order to get this under the shingles, you'll want to start that first. Lift this up. Slide this, put it down over it. That's going to stick real well with that butyl tape. Take your rubber boot, stick that over the mount, press that down in place, and then put this back in place. Now the bottom one is still intact. You don't have to take them both off at the same time. You wouldn't want to. Put that back in place. That cap nut has stayed in the same place as where we took it out. Put that back in place, and you're good to go with that one-piece flashing. All the screw heads are covered. This is all sealed well with that butyl and that rubber boot. Now this isn't meant to be totally watertight. You can actually get some water down on top of this boot. That's why we don't have any adhesive or any sealant on the bottom edge of this flashing. Allows it to leak out, but that'll keep out about 90% of your water. The rest of it is the seal on the bottom with the butyl tape and the decking screws. I also want to show you, once you put this, you're going to be putting this back in place. Get it prepared for your next module. Should that slid over real well. What I wanted to show you is this bolt on the bottom of it. I'm going to tighten this bolt up. There's one here as well. You're going to want to tighten those as you go along the way, and then reach in from the bottom to get this one once this module is in place. That's where your grounding module to module is going to be established. We've got that one in place. While we've got this loose under here, we can tighten up that. Just simply reach under here and tighten up that bolt. Not a big deal. Get that in place. And now that's grabbed that module, but it's also penetrated that anodized coating so that it breaks through that anodizing and makes for your bond. So what I want to show you here, if you don't want to use the one-piece flashing that covers over these screws, you can also do it like we've got here, but if you want to still cover over these screws a little better, got this high-strength tape, got 2 slits in it. It's going to allow you to fold it up against the wall of that, as well as put that down nice and tight. And that's just going to provide you an extra measure of sealant. Now that tape is not going to come off of there over time. That is going to just adhere and stay nice and tight. Just give you a little extra measure of protection. So here you see our array built. We've got 6 panels. We did that in just under 18 minutes. I understand this is an ideal situation, but if you had 3 guys, a crew of 3 guys, one handing them up, 2 guys on the roof, it's certainly not unrealistic to think that you could do that. These are made totally in America. They're not shipped out overseas. We build them here in the United States in Texas. And we certainly appreciate your business. Give us a call at 210-748-9492. Or come to the website at www.solattach.com. That's www.solattach.com. We appreciate hearing back from you, any feedback, any questions you may have. And we do sell directly to installers. So give us a call. Thank you very much.